Monique is with us in Bangor, Maine. Hi, Monique. How are you?
Very well. Thank you to Kelly for taking my call today.
Sure. If you got by her, your life's good. What's up?
That's a good move, Monique.
So I am looking for some guidance from Dave and Dr. Delaney about my will. I have two daughters, one of whom is doing very well financially. She and her husband are in the 1%. And the other daughter earns about $50,000. And for several years, I felt uncomfortable about how to, divide up the assets. I'm an everyday millionaire. But more recently, I've gotten to the point where I don't want to give either of them any money.
Why?
I feel like I've worked so hard my whole life. I paid for college for them. I've paid over $500,000 for college for them. And they've turned into socialists. And they just, but they have. And
well, you sent them the wrong college.
Yeah.
Monique,
yes.
You're my favorite call maybe in 2 months.
I know we're all laughing.
No,
but
we're with
frankly,
you. We're with you.
I'm depressed. I'm very depressed about where I see my children heading, and I think I don't want my money to go to them, and I feel terrible about that.
You shouldn't. They're not entitled. They didn't hit the DNA lottery. They're not entitled. My children have been instructed since they were small that in order to get the opportunity to manage the money that God gave me to manage, meaning that I hand off the responsibility to manage some of the Ramsey fortune to them, they will have to be people of character. Socialists are not people of character.
Okay.
They're parasites. And so if my children are going to be parasites, I'm not going to finance their lives so that they have a reality show.
Is there a way to put money in, let's say, a trust where they couldn't get access to it till they were, let's say, 70 years old?
Well, then they'd just be a 70-year-old socialist, right?
Yeah, well, but I'm hoping by then they will have kind of woken up.
You can. All of our estate is trust-based, and our trust is, we've done it from a faith perspective, not an economics perspective. But if they're not walking with God, they don't get to manage God's money. It's what the trust says.
Really?
Yep. In no uncertain terms. And so, in your case, you could change that lingo and just go, when you become a capitalist, you get the opportunity to manage this money.
Monique, here's what I would do. I would take some time to distill down beyond the monikers and the labels.
Report on Atlas Shrugged.
What? That's fantastic. Man, I am not usually at a loss for words, and you got me on that one. Monique, here's what I want you to do. I want you to distill down beneath the quote-unquote word socialist. Okay, what are the things that they are saying that concerns you, that you think that you are leaning into, and I want you to have a direct, straight conversation about what these things are, and then I want you to identify them. And like Dave said, it's your money. You can do what you want to with it. I've seen more and more over the last 4 or 5 years a lot of semantic shell games, and once you sit down and talk to somebody, it's like, oh, we're way on the same page. I just thought this, about that, right?
Yeah. I think you can say that you are not required morally, ethically, legally, spiritually to leave your money to people that you do not agree with how they live their lives.
Period, full stop.
In there, right? So, now, once you've said that, then you can start to have some discussions with them that are very gentle and very life-giving and very
direct.
kind. Very kind and very clear. And it's like, okay, I've paid for all this stuff for you, and truthfully, I don't agree with the way you're living your life, and I'm not willing to finance that going forward.
Right.
And so it's up to you if you want to do that. I'm not being controlling. I just want to let you know that I'm going to go ahead and do a reading of the will, and you're not going to be in it as long as you're living this way, whatever this way is. If your kid's a heroin addict, you sit down with them and go, I'm not funding your heroin.
But what you
with my
did
death.
that is unique is you articulated what that meant. You're not vague.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm very clear.
Very clear.
It's unbelievably detailed, and it costs $25,000
that's
to
what
write the
Monique
trust.
To be very clear.
It's ridiculous. Right. Yeah, the legal fees on this were amazing, but I just and then we get to have this meeting once a year where we revisit and go, oh, by the way, remember what we said? if you're going to manage money for God, this is what managing money for God looks like. First, you got to be walking with Him, and and we do this kind of stuff, and you don't get, and so we're not mad about it, but we feel a responsibility to not fund heroin addicts or socialists. I mean, it's like, wow, this is the Ramsey Show.